Today, I'm just going to speak about eating proper nutrients in each meal so that we're able to stay fuller for longer, that we're not snacking as much. Obviously, snacks and the right healthy snacks are okay during the day, but what should we be prioritizing in our meals? So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to make sure that we are getting all that we need, all those nutrients that we need to help keep us fuller between meals. So the first thing is going to be protein. It is super, super important. We want to make sure we're getting enough protein in every single meal. So in the morning, that can mean having eggs, that can mean having yogurt. For lunch, we want to prioritize lean proteins as opposed to fattier protein. Lean protein, canned tuna is a really good one. Any sort of fish, poultry, specifically white meat poultry. Beans are a good one. And then for dinner, same thing. If we are going to have like less of a lean protein, we don't want every day, but if we are, I would like to save that for dinner as opposed to lunch. Just making sure we're getting enough of that and also making sure we're getting fiber. Fiber is also going to be super, super important. And the fiber pairing with the protein is the best way to stabilize our blood sugars, which is important for so many reasons, but really to help keep us fuller for longer. And then obviously to prevent our blood sugars from crashing and causing that shaky sort of feeling. So two very important nutrients that we want to get in every single meal. And fibers, obviously fruits and vegetables and things like that. So definitely making sure we're getting enough of that's going to help keep us fuller for longer between meals and just allow us to not snack and graze in between those meals.
I'm actually talking about eating on a budget, trying to find things in our pantry that we can use. And also, if you are a person that goes to a pantry, you get a lot of dried beans and things like that. I actually have some split peas. And I'm going to make a split pea soup, and it was a really simple split pea soup, and it was absolutely delicious. And then also I have a roasted vegetable salad, which is really good also. So I'm going to quickly start off with getting my oil in my pan for my soup. This was so simple and it came out really good. I definitely recommend this recipe, especially if you get these beans. Like, a lot of people are worried about cooking beans and stuff, and they're so simple. Really, they are.
Beans are a good thing, by the way, to stack up on.
Shelf stable. And
if you do go to pantry, they do have a lot of dried beans, and why not use them? Some people strip them away because they're scared to use them. You don't need to be scared to use them. So anyway, I have an onion here with some olive oil. I also have some cut up celery, right, and then some carrots. This takes a while to cook. I would say it took me probably about an hour for everything to get nice and tender. But when it did, it was definitely worth it. It's really good.
it makes your house smell good. Feels very autumnal, very fallish.
It's a one pot meal again. This is something that we have to think about. Someone who hasn't got an oven.
You could do that with a single burner.
So I'm also going to put in some fresh garlic here. Years ago, a lot of people, when they had like leftover ham and things like that, they used to put like leftover ham bowling with kind of, I know when I was a kid growing up, they did.
For the vegan kind too, they have this stuff called liquid smoke. It makes it taste like that without it being, I don't even know what's in it though. I can't recommend that because I don't know if it's healthy or not. But
it's vegan and it's delicious. So you know what?
Shut up.
You don't have to worry about
you don't even need it. Yeah, perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to put baby. Please remember to take them out. They can make you choke when everything's finished cooking. Right, and then I have some fresh thyme now.
Lovely.
I'm going to put some salt and pepper. And you can always add, but never take away. My thing. So you see that's getting like a little translucent now. Onion.
Beautiful.
So here's my tip: I wash them. Make sure they're washed thoroughly, because sometimes they can be like a little stony.
And split peas are nice too because they're one of the ones that you don't need to soak ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like lentils are the same way. It's like you can just put them straight in. You want to rinse them, but you can put them in without soaking or anything like that.
When I washed it, I washed the whole bag and then separated them. So I guess that was like it stuck together a little bit. This is only half a bowl, by the way. Yeah.
Oh wow! It goes a real long way.
So now I'm going to put stock in, and you might have to add a little bit more as you go on. I did add a little bit of water during it all. Go back to that and chisel it away after, but I'm sure as it gets hot, it's going to start separating anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to lid that and let that cook away. Right, so that's cooking. All right, the next thing is I use ready beets this morning, but I'm really crazy about steaming beets. I did a roasted beet walnut salad. This is how I do mine. I put a little bit of olive oil just over it and put it in water, a little bit of salt and pepper. And my favorite of all time is rosemary. And now I'm going to put some rosemary in the water. Separate that.
Rosemary and beets goes together so well.
And the smell is
They
like
do.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Now I'm just going to cover that and I'm going to put it in the oven. You know when it's ready, when you just can put a knife in easy and then let it cool down, and they should peel really easy. So this is it's supposed to be a sweet potato. So imagine this is orange. But you know what? I'm going to cook it. I bet it's delicious. And I had some carrots, but I ran out of carrots and I use them for the main dish. Pepper, put this in the oven till it gets like nice and charred. And then I roast off the walnuts and then everything will be put together. And I'm just going to do a quick dressing for you here. This is a lemon yogurt dressing that goes with the salad. So I have olive oil and fresh parsley and some zest in here. I'm going to put straight in. Spoon of garlic. Oh, there's a little tiny bit of honey. Honey is optional. I figured, you know what, I'll put a little bit in. And then half a cup of yogurt.
And make sure it's just plain yogurt.
I use plain Greek yogurt.
And Greek is a little bit thicker.
There's
Greek
a little
yogurt?
bit more protein, and also for anybody who is lactose intolerant, they're actually usually able to tolerate Greek yogurt more than another yogurt because of the straining process, and a lot of the lactose is taken out of it. So many times people who are lactose intolerant are able to tolerate Greek yogurt.
So I'm going to put salt and pepper, and you can use fresh parsley or fresh mint. You have an option. So I put that in a little bowl here. And this is the finish. And with the soup, once you can use a blender at the end of it to make it like a little thicker. If you see, like it's like it's got a nice little thickness. Yeah, it's like really good.
Yeah, legumes usually thicken up. If you put it in the refrigerator, it will thicken. So if you want to make it thinner, put water in, but it will thicken up over time.
If you've got leftovers that you're saving.
This is such a simple little dish, and lentils are reasonable and they last, and you can actually extend it. Like I've always said, like lentils can go over rice. You can have lentils as soup. So if you make one big bag, you can do it over a pasta, you can do it over a rice, then you can have soup. It goes 3 different ways. So it's definitely a good idea if you're on a budget, meal prepping and all the other stuff.
And they are very relatively inexpensive.
And they're really good for you.
Talking about protein, good source.
I am going to make today something a little bit different. Still a salad, but not a roasted salad. But you guys all know I love to use anything I have left over and try to make it into a meal. That's pretty much what I do all the time, very much in real time at home. So I just had a whole bunch of holidays that I finished up, and I had a whole bunch of leftover challah bread. So I wanted to do something with that. And so I'm going to make today a panzanella salad, which is one of my favorite types of salad. I love a non-lettuce based salad, and I love a chunky salad. The reason I love a non-lettuce based salad is I just find in general it stays. So I can make like a bigger batch and put it in the refrigerator, and it'll stay for a day or two, and it just soaks in that dressing. So I really love to do that. It's super simple. The first thing I'm going to do is make my croutons. I like to cut up my bread a little bit bigger, and then if I want to cut them smaller, I will. But because my vegetables are cut pretty big, because I just like it bigger and chunkier, I'm keeping it big, and I can always cut them after they're done in the oven. So I had some leftover, like a whole loaf of challah bread, and I cut them big right now, and I can always make them a little bit smaller. Put them on a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and then I like to use spray just because it's going to evenly coat the bread, but you can use just some salsa. This is avocado spray. You don't want too much, but you want a nice amount to make sure all of the pieces are covered with some oil. And then the reason I like to make my own croutons is I find store-bought croutons, first of all, I don't know what's on them, and they're always over-seasoned, and I don't like to over-season them because, as you guys know from Sam, you can always add, but you can't take away. So I like to under-season my croutons, use other seasonings for the salads if I need. The only seasoning I'm going to be putting on this today is za'atar spice. I've spoken to you guys a lot about za'atar spice. It's delicious. It goes so well with this like Mediterranean type of salad. So I'm going to do a little bit of the za'atar. By the way, speaking of yogurt, I'll put it on like yogurt sometimes, like with like a hummus type. It's just so delicious.
It's great with hummus. It's great
really
on
so good on avocado. It's just a really good spice. It has such a great aroma, and like even in the oven, the first second I put it in the oven. Then I let this sit for a few minutes just because I want the bread to take in that olive oil so it gets crispy, not only in the outside, but also on the inside. Normally I would let it sit for a few minutes, and I'm going to pop this in the oven for about 15 minutes. So let me just put that timer on because otherwise I probably will forget about them. Put that in for 15 minutes, and then this is what they're going to look like when they come out. They're nice and crispy. Again,
those are
they're
beautiful.
big, but some of them are a little bit smaller. You can always take a knife and then cut them. They're nice and crispy all over. They're a little bit softer in the inside, which is how I like them, but super, super delicious. Now I'm going to make my salad, and then I'm going to show you another spice. You guys know I like to show you some new spices, how I put this together. So I have my bowl. I like it chunky. I like to cut my vegetables not very like even, right? I like to make them look a little bit asymmetrical, I should say. So you just roughly chop them, but big. We're going to make this like a big salad. I'm going to put in my cucumbers. Then I took some Campari tomatoes, but you can use any sort of tomatoes. I don't want like a cherry tomato just because they're too small. Again, I like a big chunky salad. I'm gonna put in my tomatoes. Then I have some red onion. Again, I just chopped it big. I personally don't love a lot of red onion in my salad, so I just did one, and I'm probably not even gonna put a whole one in. I'll probably put about half of the onion in here. So far we have this. The last thing I'm gonna put in before my croutons are some calamella olives.
Oh,
Again,
lovely.
you can put them in if you want. You can not, if you don't want. We've got this nice big non-lettuce based salad, super delicious. Then I'm going to take my croutons. So you're not going to take the whole thing, but you're going to put the croutons on top like this.
Beautiful.
And then we're going to break. So you see, it's very easy to break them if you need to. Put my salad like this. Now I'm going to make my dressing. I'm going to put it in the bowl just so I can show you, but usually I would just put it directly on here. It doesn't matter. So we're going to do a little bit of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, then the juice of half of a lemon. So you want just the juice of half of the lemon. You don't want too much lemon juice.
Another thing that I have learned by watching cooking classes is I try and have lemons on hand all the time.
Yeah, try to have lemons on hand
Yeah.
all the time. That's a really good lesson. You can put some salt and pepper if you want. You're just gonna mix this up. You're gonna pour it over our salad. And then the last thing I'm gonna pour on top is a spice that we've probably spoken about called sumac. I love it so much, and I love it on a salad. It gives it a nice color. It's like a purpley reddish spice. It doesn't have such a strong flavor, but it gives it enough of a flavor that I just love it so much. I like to sprinkle that on top. It gives it, especially for the Mediterranean type of dressing, it's so good. Put that on top. I'm gonna take my spoon and my fork, mix this all together. It's okay if it gets a little messy, that's fine. And that is it. Is so easy. You can put cheese in here if you want. You can roast some tofu and put that in here. Again, adding some protein to that. This is such a delicious salad. I let this sit for a few minutes so that the croutons absorb in some of that dressing. And that is really it. Super
That's
easy.
amazing.
Doesn't use anything too complicated.
And I'm sure it keeps well too.
It does keep. Don't put the croutons in until a few minutes before, but it will stay well in the fridge for sure.
I'm so pleased she said that there's no lettuce base, because they show you it doesn't have to have lettuce.
It doesn't.
Yes.
Some of my favorite ones don't.
I love a non-lettuce based salad. It's also a lot easier to make.
I love the idea of using the hollow for the croutons too. I'm sure those are delicious.
A lot of times you'll see recipes for croutons. They'll say use like a real crusty bread, right? But I use like the challah bread all the time. It's not too hard. Sometimes it's a little hard to eat those crusty bread. So it's not too hard, but it gets a nice outside and it's a little bit softer. And it's my favorite type of bread to use for crouton. It's really what I mostly use.